many of you have seen Tom speak before? Okay. So I asked Chris this morning, I said, just tell me why you feel this way about Tom Ferry. And he paused for a second and said, honestly, he's changed my life. And I think one of the things that is true about Tom Ferry is that his definition of success, while it's pressed out there that he works with some of the highest producing agents in the country, his definition of success is not centered around finance only. It's about how do you create the life that you want to create for yourself. And money isn't the only key to that. When I think of Tom, I think about the full package. How do you get it all together? From your business life to your personal life, all of those things working in concert. And so I'm excited to hear him again this morning. I hope you guys are too. I would like to offer the best welcome you can give to Coach Tom Ferry.
Hey, what's going on? What's going on? You know what fucking sucks? Being the first speaker at 9 o'clock in the morning at one of the most awesome conferences after a pub crawl. How are you all feeling? Okay, how many of you have never seen me speak before? Just so I know, raise your hands really high. Not true, I guess. For those of you that have never seen me speak before, you're hungover. Can we just assume rapport? Like I don't want to have to nurture for 15 minutes. Can we just get into it? Okay, cool. Permission just to talk to you as if we were having a glass of wine or we were walking Balboa Island, which is what I like to do when I meet somebody new and we're just having a conversation. We just want to like chill and get to know each other, and I like to ask a lot of questions, and I've been very blessed in my life to spend a lot of time with a lot of amazing mentors and people, and just very blessed to be exposed. And when you get exposed a lot, does anybody have children? Who has children that you're aware of? Who has kids? Does anybody have kids coming 9 months from now from this conference? Like, why is my name BoomTown? Well, honey, that would be awesome. That would be awesome. Just one of you needs to do that. Who has kids? Raise your hands really high, really high, really high, really high. So I have 2 boys. Matter of fact, does the clicker work? Nope. It's a technology conference. Totally messing with my Friday morning mojo. Go to the one of my kids. There we go. He is now my official clicker. So I'm married like 23 years to a crazy Italian, and we have 2 boys. That is the real Michael Ferry. You should go to his blog. And that is Stevo Supremo 19 on Instagram. Total ladies killer on the left. The older one, complete dork. Right? Looks handsome, totally, very bright kid, but like he's much more excited about talking to like Robin Burdett's husband about like nuclear physics, right? And Steven has a harem of women. That's the only way to describe it. Is that the working clicker? Awesome. But I bring that up because both of them came to us like when they were like 8 and 6 and said to my wife and I, we want a pet. And we're like, oh, here comes the conversation, right? Puppies versus kitties. What kind of kids do we have, right? Like, how many of you have cats? Like, I can't do, I just can't do it, right? So I'm all about, I show up, I like this, for no reason, right? And they say to us, no, Daddy, we want a snake. And I was like, oh, awesome, let's see where this is gonna go. I'm like, so what do you guys want? They're like, we were watching on the show, and the snake, Daddy, if you take this one snake, and like they grow to like 30 feet long, and I was like, awesome. And then my older boy says, very analytically, Father, the way it works is you put the snake inside the cage, and the cage will grow, or the snake will grow to the size of the cage. And I was like, yeah, I totally get it. Like, so the bigger the cage, the bigger the snake. I'm like, so what do you guys want to do? They're like, we want to get the snake, and we want to let it loose in the house. And like it's an experiment to see how big the snake could be. Isn't that awesome? My wife's like, we're getting a dog. Like, just immediately not going to happen. But I say that to you because exposure's like that. The more you spend time with people that are doing so much more than you're doing, the more you spend time with people that have a really big cage, the more you begin to realize that you're playing pretty small. I mean, when you really think about it, guys, and so many of you inside this room are selling like 100 homes a year and 200 homes a year and 500 homes a year, and the truth is, you're fucking playing small. Do me a favor, turn to your buddy and say, he is so talking to you. Hey, you three fellas have a threesome, which is awkward in Charleston, South Carolina, but just go with it. Nice of you to notice. So I don't mean to be offensive, by the way, it's Fridays. I normally don't work on Fridays. I usually am wearing flip-flops on Fridays. I packed them, I didn't think it might be appropriate. But here's the thing. It all comes down to exposure. The more time you spend with people that are doing way more than you're doing, the more you grow your business. I know you guys have been in this culture conversation. I have only one thought on culture. Have you ever met somebody that you think to yourself, why in the world are they selling homes? Like, that's their culture. Have you ever met somebody that you just are attracted to and you want to be around all the time? Have you guys met somebody like that in your career? That's their culture, right? No seminar will ever fix that. You've got to fix that internally here. I believe that your DNA is your culture. What do you guys think? Right? Like, it's who you are. If you're a dick, your culture is dicky. Do you know what I mean? And you know it because, and all you have to do, I know, people are like, God, he really cursing a lot. Have I been paid? I should verify that before. So check it out. I don't want to talk about that. I want to talk about where's the industry going, and I want to give you guys a little insight. But the people that have never worked with me before, do you guys know that my dad is also in this business? Do you guys know my dad, Brian Buffini? Do you know him? So I've been around this my entire life. Like, some of you were raised on milk and cookies, right? I was raised on Zig Ziglar, Brian Tracy, Earl Nightingale, Gunther Klaus, right? Some of the great, speakers and trainers and philosophers growing up, like Jim Rohn, right? I have a photo of me sitting on Zig Ziglar's lap at my dad's office, Real Estate by McVeigh in Huntington Beach, in like 1973 when I was 3 years old. Like, that's all I've been around my entire life. So it's no wonder that by the time I was 16, I had a mohawk and, was kicked out of both parents' homes, right? And then you always come back to, Darren, like your DNA and, what you're exposed to, right? So I say that because the last 28 years, all I've done is hang out with all these insanely great people and say, what do you see? What's going on? What's happening in the world? Like, whether it's Dave Leniger, who started a little company called Remax, right? And while he was near death, talking to him, after he, recovered from that, what's going on? The Alex Perillos of the world, the Budge Huskies of the world, the Gino Bafaris of the world, and then also people that are in the mortgage space, and then other people that just look at the real estate industry and think, we're all a bunch of bananas and they want to harpoon us. I want their opinions too. But here's the deal, you ready? 28 years of like tens of thousands of conversations, you would have to be an idiot to not start to see patterns. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? Like, how many of you have a team? Raise your hands really high. Like, if you ever watched a person come into your office in an interview and just went, no way. Like, you just read them and you know immediately, right? So I have that same ability. The difference is I see it as the whole industry. Like, I look around and just go, I see what's going on. I'm not like a Nostradamus, 500 years from now. What I'm going to talk to you guys about right now is what I think is going to happen over the next 3 to 5 years and what rock stars like you guys should be doing about it to make sure that not you're positioned, but you're in a place to completely dominate. So do me a favor, just share with your neighbor how many homes you're going to sell this year. Share it with your neighbor. Go ahead. Okay. So I see Jeff. I'm going to go someone I don't know, right? So dude right here in the white, maybe pink shirt. You. Yes. Tell me your name. Garrett. Gary. Okay, cool. All right, so can't see, can't hear, but all good. So Garrett, how many homes are you going to sell this year? 35. All right, so that's awesome. Are you a part of a team? No. Are you running a team? No. Are you at the BoomTown conference? Are you a BoomTown user? And you're doing 35 deals. Is that your personal production and then you have other people around you to send referrals to? Personal production. Okay, what about the people around you? Like you have BoomTown, you have a lot of leads coming in, I'm assuming, yes? Do you and I need a sidebar? I'm gonna go to somebody else. All right. No, because like I don't understand that, right? Like not in this environment. Okay, so Bob, how many homes are you guys gonna do? 375. Okay, so ready? Do me a favor. Just tell your buddy how many transactions you're absolutely going to do. Just tell him the number real quick. Tell him real fast. Right? Hello, tell your buddy really quick. Tell your buddy. All right, so do me a favor. Do me a favor. Now say the same number and put a 3 in front of it. Mary, what's the new number? 3,240. What would the new number be, Brandon? 3,160. Kyle? Right? 3,365. Here's my point. Most of us sitting inside this room, you're not thinking big enough. You're not looking at the total addressable market and asking yourself, how many transactions are being done? The problem is, too often, my friends, we look around, Chris, and we say, okay, nobody else in my market's doing 300 deals a year, so if I do 301, I'm the shit. Right? Instead of saying, wait a minute, there's like 40,000 transactions that could occur. How do I get like 10% market share? How do I get 15% market share? And my belief is with a system like BoomTown, that should be the only level of thinking. That if you're doing this because you're trying to get a few more transactions, this is the wrong environment to be in. Does that make sense, everybody? And I'm not razzing you, I'm challenging you. Just like if I was talking to my kids, right? My kids are like, my older one, Daddy, should I go to college? I'm like, only for chicks. Because he is gonna peak sometime in college. You with me on this? So I'm like, you just need to go there, and I'm already nervous, like the first time he has sex, he's just gonna be married, right? It's just gonna be over. You with me? Thank God he has his little brother who is the ultimate wingman who will take care of him. I have to make sure they go together. But here's the deal, like I tell him, like, you don't need to go to college. You already think like a billionaire. He has friends of mine that are starting all these companies and doing all these amazing things, and he asks the right questions. He dreams all the time. When he was 5 years old, he said to me, Daddy, I need to raise $1 trillion. He's 5. I said, why? He said, well, I was just with Jimmy Banks. Jimmy Banks' father-in-law was John Gotti. They think differently, in case you're wondering. It's like, we're going to get all the money, or else, right? So it's a different style. But he was just with Jimmy Banks, and Jimmy Banks is a developer in downtown Chicago. Surprise, surprise. And they build all these monstrous high rises. And he was walking with Jimmy Banks, and he's like, oh, we built that building, and we sold it for like $1 billion, and we did this building. And my son's like, oh, that's totally awesome. And he's like, Michael, what do you want to do? And he's like, I want to be a developer. And he's like, 5. Tell me about that. He said, Jimmy, let me tell you what I want to do. You know, like on Star Wars, there's the Death Star? And he's like, yeah. And he goes, I want to build the Good Star. And he's like, you want to build the Good Star? Like, tell me about that, Michael. And he says, like right now, because he's watching the Nova channel, right? And he's like, there's things that are coming off the sun every single day, and one of those is eventually going to blow up the earth, so I want to build a good star that protects the earth. Now, here's what's great. Between 5 and 7 years old, he raised, like on IOU pieces of paper, over $3 trillion. $3 trillion. And we've got him sitting. I can't wait. Like when he gets married, I'm going to go, here's $3 trillion. Call all my clients and get the money. You with me on this? But here was the funny part. I tell you that story because I would say to people, hey, Kyle, he wants to raise $1 trillion and he wants to build a good star. Will you write an imaginary IOU? And people would write an imaginary IOU for $500. 500. It's an imaginary IOU to a 6-year-old, and they would write $500. Are you fucking kidding me? Do me a favor, just turn to your buddy and say, your head is a scary place to be. Do we need to think bigger, yes or yes? All right, so I want to talk to you guys about some trends. But first, that's one of my heroes. You guys, I think Peter Drucker was mentioned yesterday. I don't know who did it. But Drucker, all he talks about is all business is innovation and marketing. All business is innovation and marketing. All business is what, my friends? And the second you stop innovating, what happens to your business? You're stale, right or wrong? You're stale. And the moment you're stale, you're no longer hot, you're no longer progressive, you're no longer moving forward, you're no longer sexy to your clients, you're just another real estate agent. But the second part of that is all business is marketing. And the second you stop marketing, you're done. So I want to talk to you about the innovation side, right? Just on some of the trends I see that are coming into our industry that are really impacting us right now and certainly will over the next 2 to 3 years. So let's talk about it. You ready? Who's up for 10Xing their business? I'm just curious. Raise your hands really high. Like, even though I've cursed and you might be offended, you still want to 10X your business. You guys up for that? All right, so let's talk about it. 7 trends. But to give you a little insight before you look at this one, and you all know this one because you're dealing with it every day. In 1998, I came out to a bunch of my mastermind clients, about 36 agents I was working at the time, and I said to them all, you guys have got to start teams. You can't operate selling 60, 70 homes a year, Debbie Holloway, all by yourself. You with me? And she's like, I know, but like I'm a control freak and I don't want to give up like the power and I can't afford it. I'm like, you're selling 70 homes a year. Get an assistant, right? Between 1998 all the way through to some of the early 2000s, all of a sudden we started to watch these people take on these big monster teams. It was awesome, right? It became extraordinary. We're going to talk about that in a minute. But how many of you have reviews somewhere on one of your websites? Raise your hands really high, right? I come from an infomercial telemarketing background with a lot of my friends. Like, you can get thin thighs in 30 days, less without diet and exercise. But wait, there's more, like that kind of stuff. And what we know is this. 80% of an infomercial is testimonials. What is a testimonial today for us in real estate? It's called a review, yes? So in like 2004, we were talking about reviews. In 2007, we were talking about reviews. So my point to you is some of these trends are obvious, some are not so obvious. The key is not like, do you like it or not? The question is, can you accept it, Bob, and move forward powerfully and then help more people? Serve more customers. Put a 3 in front of your number, right? So the very first trend is commission compression. Do me a favor, just for fun, turn to your buddy and tell your buddy, are there discount brokers in your market, yes or yes? And are there more discount brokers today or less? Okay, I heard some people say less, which is shocking. I'd love to know your marketplace. What we're seeing right now, guys, is there are so many new agents coming into the marketplace, and there's so many people that want to disrupt our industry, yes or yes? Right? And they come out, and whether it's a discount brokerage, you can work here for less, or it's the discount mentality, we will charge you less. Do you remember that complete knucklehead? And I'll say his name kind of, but no, I don't even care. Burke Smith, right? What a scam artist. You with me? I Pay One, that was his company. And he hit the scene and did 1,600 transactions in his first year and had no profit. And as he was going bankrupt, my buddy bought his company just to turn it off and throw it in the toilet. Seriously. Now, here's the challenge. Do you think the commission compression is going to continue? Do you think it's going to get worse, or do you think it's going to get better? What do you guys think? Here's my hallucination. When was the last time you had to go to the doctor's office? Right? Sorry to hear that. Maybe you should drink less at the BoomTown conference. You're like, just give me a vitamin C high V, I need it. The reality is, guys, okay, who's been to the DMV recently? Isn't that an enjoyable experience? You know how the DMV should work? You should walk in the DMV, they should punch you in the face, so at least for 2 hours you're like, why did I get punched in the face, versus standing in line for 2 hours wanting to kill someone. Here's the deal. Real estate is gonna become like this. There's gonna be HMO agents, and there's going to be premium agents. There's going to be HMO agents, you guys with me on this, that operate like the DMV, and there's going to be people that are private care, right? And the private care people are going to do it very special, and they're going to charge a lot of money, and they're going to get paid in direct correlation to their service, and their service is going to be over the top. And by the way, service is not a degree of separation. Everybody's got to serve clients. Their ability to articulate their value in a way that has the consumer say, I only have to pay $7? When you're articulating your value and saying, I only have to pay $7, that's what the consumer's mindset is, you've won the game. Does that make sense? But let's be honest, guys. Could we all take every listing based on one thing? Okay, I'll just charge you a little bit less. You get all this and a little bit less. That mindset, my friends, is a part of the problem. We've got consumers and agents believing their value isn't there. Do me a favor, turn to your buddy and say, please. Just say it, please. Charge 7% on your next one. Like, just on your next 5 listing appointments, just write in 7, and the worst case scenario is you discount the 6.5. The worst case scenario is you discount the 6. But do you guys know, is anybody here not from the U.S., like not Canada and North America, 'cause I know some Canadian peeps here. Is anybody not from the U.S., right? So, anybody? Okay, where are you from? From Manila. Average commission there, like what, 1.5%? Both sides? Okay, so you ready? So I travel all over the world. Sydney, Australia, 1.5%, both sides. If you travel up north where the low end is, it's 3%, and then they've got a guy that does the auction that actually sell it. You go to London, and it's like 1% if you're lucky. You go to Germany, it's like 2 and 2. It's very efficient. It's very organized. You go to Israel, it's 1.5, 1.5, and after every transaction, they sue each other. After every transaction. They're like, okay, you can move in. Okay, let's start the negotiation of the lawsuit. Like just every transaction. And yet right now in the US, we're at 5 and everybody's saying the same thing. It's all downward compression right now. So the question you have to ask yourselves is going into 2016, 17, and 18, are you just going to allow the compression of the marketplace to take control of your income, or are you going to articulate more value, step up outside of the norm, and be that person that is so exceptional at what you do that you can charge your fees? You have to decide. Look at the second one. You ready? The irrelevant agent. Are there a few of those in your marketplace? Well, let me give you a little heads up. There's 2 million agents right now, right? NAR is saying they've got like 1.2 million, whatever that number is, but there's a whole bunch of people, like all of New York City as an example, that are not a part of the Realtor Association. I will tell you guys, the wave of new agents coming into the market, these millennials, these 25, 35, totally thinking differently, sell 5 or 6 houses, it's better than working at Starbucks, they're killing it. They're coming into the industry, and you know it because you're hiring a lot of them. But here's the deal. The irrelevant agent, the one that isn't thinking, how do I add a 3 in front of my number? How do I serve more customers? How do I do it better? How do I articulate my value in a powerful way? They're just going to come in, guys, and my expectation is, we got a 4 to 5 year run in front of us, if you're really paying attention. Then we're going to be at 3 million agents in 5 years. And here's the scary part. We'll still only be doing 5 million transactions. I want you to think about that. Think about that. Here's what's exciting, right? So if the average agent today does 5 transactions, the average agent does 5. Every time you add 5, you put one of them out of business. Wouldn't it be awesome if you could pick the agent? Could you imagine like going to just walk into an office like, hey, Martha, big month, you're out. Right? That would be awesome. So this one you guys don't deal with, but when I talk to all the big brokers, when I talk to all the owners of companies, this is all they're trying to figure out. How do I get the movable middle to sell more houses, right? But this is the one that I think is most relevant to you guys. So right now there's 35 to 40,000 teams in North America. 35 to 40, watch, raise your hands if you are a team, have a team, you're a part of a team. Raise your hands. Oh, look, all of you. Why are you on a team? Why did you start a team? Why? Okay, to do more, at the end of the day, ready? Because a team always outproduces an individual, right? I want to help more people. My heart's in the right place. I can do more marketing. I can serve more customers, right? But here's the deal. You ready, guys? We're going to see not the REO days of people doing 1,800 transactions, right, and making no money, by the way. We're going to see teams that break out and start doing the kind of production 3 or 4 traditional offices are doing, and there's 15 or 20 people in the team. You with me? Like, per person productivity at 36, 37, 40, 50 transactions per person. That's what's going on right now. But the more important issue is this. How many of you one day want to retire from real estate? Raise your hands really high. Now, in fairness, right, so Kyle, you know Maxine, right? So Maxine is 77 years old. Maxine is one of my personal clients. 77 years old, guys. She will do this year about $3.5 million in GCI. She works in La Jolla, California. Do you guys know where La Jolla is? Right? AKA La Jolla, like, 1 bedroom, no bath, 1.8 million, ocean view, on the toilet, peekaboo, and they call it an ocean view. You guys, seriously, it's hysterical, right? So I've been Maxine's business coach for like 17, 18 years now. When she was making $700,000, it was fun. When she made 5.5 one year, that was even more exciting. But here's the deal. Her goal is 92 transactions this year. Her average sales price is like 2.5. Turn to your buddy and go, I want to be her buyer's agent. Right? It's insane. But see, even Maxine resisted the team model. She resisted, like, Okay, I understand that I have an assistant and a marketing coordinator. I need to have showing assistants because everything's on logbox and I don't want to show properties, and she can't drive at night because she's totally blind. So she's like, I totally get it. But now, guess what happened? About 18 months ago, I finally helped her realize that there is this ecosystem of opportunity in your marketplace, and you're only going to attract the people that you're attracted to. You need more people on the team to serve more customers. Now she has 3 people on her sales team, and these 3 people, like in the month of August, they did 13 deals in the month of August. Figure out the math on 2.5 average sales price. That's a good month, yes or yes? And here's the best part. The team did 7 of the transactions, and her and her daughter did 6. That's exciting, right or wrong, guys? Right or wrong, guys? But see, you, of all people, know that in the next 3 to 4 years, and just write this down and then pay me like $10 when it happens, ready? There'll be 100,000 teams in North America in the next 3 to 4 years. 100,000 teams, and they're going to completely dominate the real estate landscape. Completely dominate the real estate landscape. But more importantly, check this out. The next trend is teams are now the new ticket to acquire. I asked you earlier, do you want to retire someday? Who would like to retire someday? How do most people retire from real estate? Yeah, right? Like in the middle of a listing pitch at the office meeting, like, I got a 4-bedroom, right? And they just, everybody's like, oh, can I have her desk? Right? Get her leads, right? You guys know. You guys are horrible that you even laugh at that, but I get it. I get it. So a buddy of mine, Steve Murray, he's the broker's broker, you know, celebrating 40 years in the industry, 30 years at a company called Real Trends. Super bright guy, is going to spend a couple hours with a whole bunch of my best peeps coming up soon, and he's going to talk to them about, look, there's 22 deals that he's working on right now, 22 companies that he's selling, Brandon, 3 of which are teams. And what's exciting is when you break down the numbers, and if you're going to write anything down, write this down. You ready? $2 million GCI, $800,000 net, selling for 2.5 to 3 times profit. Teams, same brokerage, $2 million, nowhere near $800,000 in profit. And if they're lucky, it usually goes like this: we'll assume your lease. That's how people are buying real estate companies today. But when they're looking at someone like a Kyle Whistle, who has how many people on the team now, salespeople? 15 at 365 transactions. What Kyle has done, and if you're gonna write anything, write this down. You guys ready? This is how you become saleable. Number 1, proprietary methodologies. If you have proprietary methodologies, if you have proprietary software, if you have proprietary systems and processes, which basically means, Brandon, take everything we've done and taken from others and modify about 20% and put your stamp on it, that's your proprietary system. But the game changer, and you guys have all figured it out, is if you have sustainable marketing and lead generation and you're not at the face of it, you're not involved in it, it all just happens, your business has even more value. Do you want to know where the real value comes from? You never list and sell. And the team does 360, 400, 500, 700 transactions, then your business might have a 4x next to your profitability. Now, I know some of you couldn't even imagine selling your company, but just try this on. If someone hands you $1.5 million and then says, for the next 5 years, stay with me and let's earn this thing out together, and you can make another $2.5 million on the back end, if you were just handed $1.5 million, would that alter your state, yes or yes? Now, I know some of you that's not enough. It could be 15 million. I don't care. It's your number. Here's the point, my friends. There is going to be so much opportunity coming down the pike over the next 3 to 4 years. The question is your business basically set up for you to listen, sell a lot of real estate? Or is it going to be set up where one day you can walk away? Matter of fact, the ultimate perfect deal, right, is, Spiker, you go to the beach house for the entire summer and you have the best quarter of the year, right? Chris and Peggy Lynn just did that at the beach house the entire summer, and the team crushed it. Will you clap it up for these guys? Because that's what I'm talking about. It's exactly what I'm talking about. And a whole bunch of my peeps down here know what we're talking about. So tell your buddy, ready? Are you going to die or are you going to sell it? Just tell your buddy. Now, check it out. Super important for you guys. Super important. Is any former REO brokers in the house? Former REO brokers? Right? Former REO brokers, right? Doesn't like putting on pants to get a listing suck? You know what I'm talking about? Agent relationships matter again, right? So, I mean, no, I helped a lot of people get in the REO world only because it was just the right time. Eileen Rivera, right? Couple conference calls, get some accounts, and let's go. Here's what we know. There's about 35 hedge funds today that have bought 5, 6, 700,000 single-family residences, and they bought them all in like 2008, 2009, 2010, on and on and on, and then they stopped. Who are they going to list all those properties with? Hold back your enthusiasm. You're like, no, I want more buyer leads. Who are they going to list those houses with? Let me tell you who they're going to list it with. The big whale hunter. The person that right now is going back to their title rep and saying, let's go look at the entire marketplace right now. What's going on in our area? How do we create a situation where we know that this firm owns 70, and this one owns 60, and this one owns 25, and how do we go nurture those relationships? Because when they start to turn those properties over, and by the way, is anybody from Vegas? Anybody from Vegas? It's already starting in Vegas right now. Right, because they bought really early and the returns are enormous right now. And those guys, they turn their money every 4 to 5 years. Now is the time for you to be paying attention to it. And if you're not, you're just going to miss a giant wave of listing opportunities. And we all know a listing gets you 2 or 3 more deals, yes or yes. So are you spending any time, any energy, any of your resources on big whale hunting, or are you still trying to figure out how to only get 3 out of 100? I would challenge you guys, put some resources on this. The next one, number 6. The rise of the agent entrepreneur. How many businesses do you own? Let me throw this out to you. Ready? Does anybody know the GDP of the U.S.? Like, I know we're like almost $20 trillion in debt, but do you know the actual GDP? We do like $18.5 trillion in revenues every year, right? So think about this. Real estate and housing is 28% of the U.S. GDP. 28%. Now, I know your addressable market may be dramatically smaller, but I would challenge you, what many of you have figured out is you don't just have a real estate agent team or a brokerage. What you're really developing is a platform. And the question is, how can you maximize the platform? How many different vehicles can you put in place to serve the customer, whether it's renting an apartment or fixing up their house and everything under the sun? What we're seeing now is agents are finally realizing, if I can market and generate the customers, there's all kinds of vehicles to make money. How many of you guys get what I'm talking about? Say yes. Yes? You guys just want alcohol? Some of you are like, no, I need alcohol. It's not even a want. This, my friends, this is where the opportunity lies. There is okay, is anybody doing any fix and flips in the room? You know what's awesome about fix? Oh, is that Shannon Rose? Hey, Shannon. Shannon, and in Silicon Valley, a fix and flip is we got a steal for $1.5 million. We put 4 into it and sold it for 3.1. And last time I checked, that's better than a 3% commission. Every single one of you, in my opinion, should never put another deal in the MLS where you're like, this is a smoking deal. Watch how fast we get an offer. You hit enter in the MLS and you get like 43 offers the next like 24 hours. That's a mistake. Buy the house yourself. That's what we're seeing the smart agents do. They're realizing that you're at the hub. You are the hub of all the money coming in, and many of us are just thinking about taking a listing or making a sale. Now, the last one. Do me a favor. Before I do this, tell your buddy on this list which is the most important trend you need to be paying attention to. Just tell your buddy really quick. Which is the most important for you? I'm curious for like a bunch of my coaching clients. So like, Zara, like which one is most important for you? Number 6. Okay. Mary. 5. Scotty. Team domination. Love it. Kyle. 4 and 6. I love it. No surprise. No surprise. Number 5. All right. Especially coming out of the REO world. Right? I like to make 1 phone call and get 400 listings versus make 400 phone calls and get 5 listings. All right, so I'm just for curious sake, but the hottest trend going right now, guys, and this is way more relevant for you than it is for almost any other conference I would do, you're the hottest trend. Let me ask you a question. If you did a 3-year look back in your business, everybody just show me. Everybody either go like this, or go like this, because that's your 3-year trend. So show me, which one is it? Okay, so most of you are going like this, right? Right? Most of you are doing this. Dude, which one are you doing? I didn't see your hand go up. But you went like this. Like the, oh, see, there's the truth. He was like, oh, I went like this, and then I went like this, and then, you know. Right now, guys, right now is the time you should be thinking about how do I add a 1 to my typical transaction goal. What if, Laura, you said, we're doing 100 and what? How many deals are you guys going to do this year? 180. We're doing 180. How do I do like 1,180 and then fail miserably in your execution and only sell like 700? I'm dead serious. You and your partner are so hot. Your trend is going like this, and instead of allowing the J to occur, you're writing plans for 25 and 30% incremental growth. Does that make sense? Okay, do me a favor. Turn to your buddy and say, he's really talking to you right now. And you guys got to get, like, I can't go to a regular conference and speak like that. But in a room like this, with this kind of power, Bob, with this kind of what's available in the room and what's present, I mean, you got 15 salespeople. Why not have 500? You with me? Why aren't we thinking, like, hey, how many of you guys know Greer Allen? Would you say he's a pretty big thinker? What do you guys think? This company is 8 years old. He has a new building. It's 80,000 square feet. Is he thinking about growth? What do you guys think? Is he thinking about total domination? What do you guys think? Now, some of you are like, oh, I don't know. I kind of like it when it's small. Shut up. Go to conversion. Stay small. Right? Greer is thinking about how, like, you know where Greer's heart is if you talk to him. He's like, how do I help every buyer and seller on the planet and do it through extraordinary people? His trend is going through the roof. You should be following that same lead. Now, I'm going to go a totally different direction with you. You ready? I believe the hottest thing right now is teams, without a shadow of a doubt. And what I know is that there's basically 4 team structures. And I'm going to walk you through the 4, and you're going to totally get it. And then I'm going to show you some numbers on one of my clients I'm working with, who his goal is to do $1 billion in volume. That's the team goal, $1 billion in volume, 500 transactions. Figure out the commission really fast. It's exciting. Before you do that, though, I believe that there's basically 3 psychological archetypes of real estate professionals, even inside this room. They are the artist, the entrepreneur, and the operator. And we could just as easily, Kyle, take entrepreneur out and just put team builder, right, in. So watch this, the artist, right? They're super fun to be around. They make a ton of money. Everything is drama. They buy every software on the planet. They are fantastic at starting projects, and they don't finish shit. Right? But it's okay because once they get like bored with something, they just buy another one and start over again. How many of you, be honest, you're an artist? Raise your hands really high. You're like, oh, I'm waiting for the next one before How many of you aren't going to raise your hand? It doesn't matter what I say, just so I know. See, I got you. The operator, ready guys? Different from the artist, they like spreadsheets. They're old school. They like Gantt, scope management. They get in bed, right? And they're like, honey, check out the spreadsheet. Look what's going on. And they're like, oh, let's have sex, right? Because the spreadsheet gets them going. Raise your hands if you're an operator. Raise your hands really high if you're an operator. Now you're all, okay, so raise your hands if you're the entrepreneur. Raise your hands if you're the entrepreneur. Okay, good. 90% failure rate for the guy in the middle, by the way. 90% failure rate. All the money, my friends, all the money goes to the artist. All the money goes to the artist, right? They can't get there without the operator, and forget the entrepreneur. The real money now is being made by the team leader, right? And we're going to go through some examples of this, and you're going to see it because it's very evident your leadership style. So let's talk about it. You ready? The 4 team structures. Here's the first kind of team. How many of you know this team? Right? Every day is like ring ding 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 ding, right? And you're like, how's it going? I don't know. This is all, if you hear this, I need more leads. That's your team. You're like, but you don't call the ones I gave you. I know, but those weren't good ones. I want flowery ones. Give me more color. When I talk to broker owners, for a lot of my broker owner friends in the room, I say this is the group that comes together, 5 agents that make $30,000 a year and now think that combined 150 GCI equals a higher commission split. And all my broker manager friends go, hallelujah, please hit them. So none of you are there, right? But you're probably here. The family business, mom, dad, your 32-year-old son that's been living in the basement, who went to college and is not going to become Indiana Jones, so their degree in archaeology only got them $300,000 in debt. And you're like, all right, fuckface, you're my assistant. Here we go. Right? That's it. Some of you are like, oh my God, are they recording this? Play it for my son, right? But just understand, guys, the family business makes so much money and they keep it in the family. How many of you are married or have a significant other? Raise your hands. The problem, though, inside a family business, my wife was my partner in business. She's my life partner. We own a lot of companies. We do a lot of things together. She's basically the money side, and I'm the creation side, so we kind of know yin and yang. Like, early on, one of my buddies was like, you and your wife are really opposite. And I'm like, Wayne Dyer once told me that if you marry the same person, one of you isn't necessary. You with me? So what I know about family businesses is they have hallway sex all the time. You guys, all my friends know hallway sex, right? You're like walking by your spouse, like, fuck you. Hallway sex. Like, that's all you got. You with me? How many of you are married? Okay, hallway sex sucks. Laying in bed, listen, I'll get home tonight at like 7, right? And I'll get home and I'll be like, hey baby, I've been on the road for a week, what's going on? And if she's like, did you see the cancellation that happened yesterday? That is like anti-Viagra. You with me? That is such a buzzkill, yes or yes. The bigger issue that they face is, what happens when they go on vacation? All the revenue goes on vacation. All the conversion goes on vacation. All the closing goes on vacation, and they're done, right? So I love these because it's easy. They get one assistant. They get 2 salespeople on their team. They'll go through a whole bunch of them. They go through, like, the women usually go through assistants like they go through husbands, right? It's like the same cycle. Sorry, ladies. I get it, though. The women are like control freaks. They're like, okay, I'm done with you and my assistant. Let's start over. All right. They make a ton of money, but they have no life. You guys with me on this? And I'm a big fan of like living your life like at a really high level and having a lot of fun. So you got to expand beyond that. Now, here's the scary team. You guys know this team. It's when you come back from a conference and you're like, all right, people, get together. Now listen up. I talked to this ISA, and she's setting 5 appointments a day, and you knuckleheads are saying like 1, you pathetic, and you don't say that, you just give that off. And you know this person because when they walk outside, they look up and they see that big sun, and they're like, that's not the center of the universe. I am the center of the universe. You guys know, how many of you know at least one person with a monstrous ego who has massive turnover on their team? Are they sitting in your chair? The person that says this to me, I won't hire another buyer's agent because I know if I hire another buyer's agent, they're going to take my business and they're going to steal it and they're going to leave. I'm like, has that happened to you before? It's happened to me 5 times. I'm like, who is the common denominator? You are the common denominator. If this is you, you need to fix that, right? Let me show you a different model. You ready? First of all, just notice the difference in the setup. Up tall, talking down, versus all the way across. Everybody on this team lists and sells. Everybody on this team has a geographic farm. Everybody on this team makes calls. Everybody on this team works buyers, right? Their goal is $1 billion in 2 years, right? Pacing right now for $750 million next year in sales. We need to hire 4 more people on the sales team. We operate basically by 4 simple principles, have a wildly important goal, right? His goal is he wants to get to $3 billion in sales, but we're going to start with $1 billion first, right? So you got to have a rally point that everybody's excited about, right? Second thing is we know our KPIs and everybody acts on them, and it's all about aligned behaviors. Know your commitment and align your behaviors. If your behaviors aren't aligned, it's never going to happen. You got to have a scoreboard, which means everybody knows exactly what's going on. Are we winning or losing, right? And you got to increase the cadence of accountability. Those 4 things govern how this team operates every day, every day, every day. Now, consider, you ready? Smith Group, $1 billion in volume. Here's what it looks like. It's just 840 listing appointments. It's just 840 listings. You got 20 people on the team. It's just 840 listing appointments. It's just 500 listings taken. It's only 300 listings sold, and it's 200 buyer-controlled sales. That's it, 500 transactions. Everybody lists, everybody sells. You with me on this, guys? And here's what's even more exciting. It's just 20 salespeople. It's just 42 listing appointments each. It's just 25 listings taken. It's just 15 listings sold. And it's just 10 buyer sales. That's it. That's the team. Ready? You guys want to see their behaviors? Are you curious? By the way, do you want to know what his turnover's been in the last 5 years? No. 1. Annika, she's a client of ours. And she called me and she said, she was the ISA who did like 45 transactions 1 year, right, for him. And she said, I think I can go out on my own. I can do it on my own. She left 6 months ago and she's dying. Because what she misses, which all of you I hope have created, is the ecosystem is the hub. It's the fact that we've got deal doctoring and leadership and culture and marketing, lead generation, transaction management, buddies, camaraderie, fun, drinks. All these things are the hub, and all the salespeople do is sell houses. That's all they do. Does that make sense, guys? We don't want them touching paperwork. They're all artists. We want them painting or cutting their ear off. That's it. That's all we want them doing. Now, very quickly, and I'm almost gonna wrap up. Behaviors. Everybody on the team does their 5-5-4, 5 past client, 5 new, 4 lead follow-up. Everybody looks at the hot sheets twice a day because knowledge matters. Everybody does 48 open houses every month. Everybody's got a farm of 250 to 1,000. He pays for half. They cover half the expenses as well. Right, Brandon? And here's the deal. 20 at 1,000 is 20,000 homes being farmed with his face and their face. His face and their face. So if their face ever leaves, whose face is still there? And every farm is based upon the numbers that we want, 6, 8, 9, 10% conversion. And he's absolutely killing it, my friends. Let me go back real fast. And the last one is everybody's got a door knock 3 times a week. Their average sales price is $2.8 million. And everybody's got a door knock. And here's the best part, you ready? The average producer joining his team right now is a $10 million producer, and he has no recruiting plan in place. Has he built something special? What do you guys think? It's all about the ecosystem. It's all about the culture. It's all about creating a machine. And by the way, the best part is, when we wrote this plan, he looked at this and he said, so I just got to be clear, like, Tom, what do I do? If the team is doing $1 billion, right? What do I do? And I said, whatever you want. I said, how about hang out with your 3-year-old and your 1-year-old and go to the beach every day? I said, show up, encourage, inspire, make a difference, do some training, right? Get people fired up and let them go do what they do best, which is expand the brand and kill the world. You guys with me on this? I mean, kill it like kill the marketplace. Now, do me a favor very quickly. I'm just curious. Tell your buddy, when you think about everything I just shared, what's one thing that's going through your mind? Just one thing. I don't care if it's when is he done. What's just one thing? You can absolutely do that. That was the right answer. Can I tell you the one thing and then Jeff, I'm done. I got to show one like really fast thing. The only thing that's going to stop you, my friends, the only thing that's going to stop you from adding a 1 or a 3 to your number is right here. How many of you guys get that? Right? All it takes is one dreamer, one believer who says, I can sell 300, I can sell 500, I can help more, I can focus on single moms, I can take over the military market. It's just one person, Shannon, that gets outside of their comfort zone, and the only way to do that is to talk yourself into it. How many of you guys get that? Say aye. So I gotta show you something really fast. Can you play that next thing for me? But don't hit it yet. That's my son. He's a tennis player. And like all tennis players, any tennis players in the room? When you're all by yourself out there on the court, it's scary, right or wrong. So he was losing and losing and losing, mostly to the Asian assassins. You know, the kids that show up with their tennis racket and their ninja bag and right? Nike headband, right? And they would kill him. And where they killed him was not in ground strokes, not in serves, not in the backhand, not in the chip shot. Where they were killing him is right here. And until he finally stopped fighting on the mindset, he never won. He'd get close and he would die, which is the same thing that's going to happen to all of us unless you get your mindset right. I got him to start doing this, right? Now he just had the ultimate comp, and I was telling you last night, Nick Ballesteri, who's like the greatest tennis coach on the planet, is working with my son right now. He worked with Sampras and a bunch of other like really big-time players. He just said, Steven, yeah, he calls him Big Boy, you have the greatest serve right now in the country for a 14-year-old. Now, what I know is 18 months ago, that would have never happened if it wasn't for this. Will you play it real fast?
I now command my conscious and unconscious mind to give me the skills to serve aces, be quick to the ball, play consistently, hit away from my opponent, and close out the match. I want this right now, right now, right now.
That's my 14-year-old. Now, I think that's what every person in your company should be doing every single day. I want to help more customers. I want to fix America. Whatever the dream is, they've got to get fixated on it and get their mindset right. And when they do that, my friends, anything is possible. Be really clear. You're going to write your plan, and then what's going to happen? Right, guys? So the only saving grace is if your mindset is right. The only saving grace is if your mindset is right. Get your mindset right and anything is possible. As I wrap up, all I want to say to you is this. Many of you, I've never talked to you before, and I said the F word at least 4 times. Get over it. I don't say it to be offensive. If my mother was here, my mother was a Mouseketeer for Walt Disney, pulled up out of a lineup. My grandmother, Elizabeth Wesley, was the #1 salesperson in Huntington Beach, California in like 1902, slinging like 50 deals a year, right? Single mom, right? My grandfather passed away a week after I was born, and she was absolutely crushing it. If she was here, you know what she would say to you? Get your fucking mindset right. Because that's how she rolls. You with me on this? So know that my heart's in the right place. No offense, only this. Stop playing small. Add a 3 to your goal. Take over the world, help more customers, be your absolute best, and make the people around you absolute rock stars, and you're going to win. God bless you guys. Thanks. Sorry, went everybody.
Takeaway. Everything he talked about was culture, whether he wants to call it culture or not. Everything. You talk about mindset, talk about taking your mindset and making it the mindset of the team. That's culture. That's what that is. It is it is dynamic. It is active. It is everything that creates profitability, period. That's it. My takeaway, teams. You all are here, most of you are in teams. The industry is dead set against you. The MLS doesn't even recognize you. Don't get your own numbers. The NAR doesn't even recognize teams. You got to fight against it until you win. That's my takeaway from this one.